If you're coming to Florence, it's likely that the Uffizi Gallery is on your must-do list.
The challenge, the museum is massive with thousands of works of art spread over hundreds of rooms. It would literally take days to see it all. The problem is, you've probably only got 1 or 2 days in Florence, and I doubt that you want to spend all of it in one museum.
That's where we come in. We'll show you how to visit the Uffizi the most efficiently, what tickets to buy, when to go, and which masterpieces are on the list you must see, but you can still have a visit that uses your time efficiently.
So why visit the Uffizi Gallery? Well, it houses one of the world's greatest collections of Italian Renaissance art. Masterpieces by Michelangelo, Da Vinci, Botticelli, Raphael, Caravaggio, and many others.
The building itself was designed in the 1500s by Giorgio Vasari for the ruling Medici family. It was used as government offices, and in fact its name, Uffizi, comes from the Italian word ufficio, which means office.
Over time, the Medici filled it with their private collection, and when the last of the Medici died, they left it to the city of Florence. Today, the Uffizi is considered the single greatest collection of Italian Renaissance art in the world.
To give you some perspective, there are over 100 rooms and about 1,500 pieces on display at any one time. But with a focused visit plan, you can see everything that's really special in 90 minutes to 2 hours. Tickets first. You really should book online. A single ticket costs 25 euros if you purchase the day of your visit. Now, if you book ahead, they charge you 29 euro. But if you don't book ahead, expect to wait 60 to 90 minutes in line, and you may not get in at all on really busy days.
There's also a ticket called a Passepartout, which is good for 5 days and includes entrance to the Uffizi, as well as the Pitti Palace and the Boboli Gardens. That costs 40 euro.
And finally, there's an option where you can add entry to the Vasari Corridor onto the Passepartout. Now that would then cost a total for all of that of 58 euro. But note, you must visit the Vasari Corridor the same day you visit the Uffizi. The palace and gardens can be visited any time during the 5 days the ticket is valid.
The museum is open Tuesday through Sunday from 8:15 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. The last entry is at 5:30 and it's closed on Mondays.
Now, if you can, go right when it opens or in the late afternoon. That's when crowds are thinnest and you'll have a better chance to really enjoy the art.
Now, to give you an idea of the difference in crowds, here's a shot comparing the crowds at 8:30 in the morning versus 10:30 in the morning.
Now, you may want to get the audio guide, which is available in 8 languages, and that costs 6 euro.
Before we start pointing out specific rooms and artworks, it helps to understand how the Uffizi is laid out, because once you do, the museum makes a lot more sense.
The Uffizi is organized chronologically. As you move through the museum, you're walking through the history of Western art, from the late Middle Ages into the Renaissance into the Baroque period. That's more or less from the 1200s into the 1600s.
The earliest rooms feature works from roughly the late 1200s and early 1300s. These medieval paintings are flat and symbolic, focused more on religious meaning than realism.
This is where artists like Giotto began to break away from that tradition, introducing weight, space, and a sense of real human presence, setting the stage for what comes next.
Then, starting in the early 1400s, something changes. Artists begin looking back to ancient Greece and Rome, studying anatomy, perspective, and how light really works, and moving away from strictly religious subjects. That rebirth of classical ideas is why this period is called the Renaissance. The word literally means rebirth.
Once that shift begins, it accelerates quickly. Over the 1400s and the 1500s, paintings start to feel human. Bodies have weight, space feels real, and faces show emotion.
By the late 1500s and into the 1600s, the art changes again. This is the Baroque period. If the Renaissance was about balance and ideal beauty, Baroque art is about drama.
You'll see intense emotion, strong contrasts of light and shadow, and moments of high tension, almost like a frozen scene from a movie.
Understanding this progression from medieval to Renaissance to Baroque helps you enjoy the Uffizi without feeling overwhelmed.
You'll start upstairs on the second floor in the long corridors with the windows overlooking Florence and the Arno River. This is where the story begins and where you'll find the earliest works that set the stage for the Renaissance masters.
From here, we'll walk you through a highlights route, room by room, so that you see the most important works in the right order without spending your entire day here.
To help you follow our tour of the Don't Miss paintings, we have a link to a cheat sheet in the description box below.
Once you get upstairs, start in room A2, where you'll see 3 giant altarpieces of the Madonna and Child by Cimabue, Duccio, and Giotto. These are from the late 1200s and early 1300s. Looking at them is like a crash course in the birth of the Renaissance. Cimabue's painting is stiff and flat. Duccio adds elegance and color. Though done just 15 years later, Giotto's Virgin finally looks human, with real depth and weight.
A real big reason to stop and take a look at these is they set you up for what's to come. You see how painting evolved from the late Middle Ages to the early and later Renaissance.
In room A8, another work to look for is Masaccio's Virgin and Child with St. Anne. This is from 1424-1425. It was significant because it influenced the work of Renaissance painters who followed him, including Leonardo, Raphael, and others.
It's a pivotal early work in Masaccio's career, showcasing his innovative use of perspective and volume. He created a powerful, solid presence for his figures, which highlight the transition from medieval to Renaissance style.
Next, go to room A12 to see 2 of Botticelli's most famous works. His Birth of Venus is the icon of the Uffizi. Venus rising from the sea on a giant shell, her hair flowing in the wind. It's one of the first large-scale canvases in Florence, and it set the standard of beauty in Western art.
In that same room is Primavera, which means spring. It's packed with mythological figures, the 3 Graces, Cupid aiming his arrows, and flowers everywhere. Over 500 species carefully painted. It was commissioned by the Medici family around 1480, and it was likely a wedding gift for Lorenzo di Pierfrancesco di Medici.
Now, skip the rest of the galleries in this corridor and go around the corner to the western corridor. In room A25, stop and see Piero della Francesca's portrait of the Duke and Duchess of Urbino. Painted in strict profile, they look almost like Roman coins. The reverse sides are decorated with allegories of triumph, showing the couple's virtues.
Now move to room A35 and you'll find Leonardo da Vinci's Annunciation. He painted it in his early 20s, yet you can already see his genius. The angel's wings based on real bird anatomy, the hazy distant mountains painted with atmospheric perspective.
In room A38 is Michelangelo's Doni Tondo, his only surviving panel painting. The figures are so muscular they almost look like they could step out of the frame. And the circular shape, called a tondo, was fashionable for Florentine homes at the time.
And don't miss Raphael's Madonna of the Goldfinch, also here in room 38. At first it looks serene, but look closer and you'll see the Christ child holding a little goldfinch, symbolizing the suffering to come. Raphael's composition is perfectly balanced, a triangle of calm and harmony.
Now head downstairs to see works from the High Renaissance and Baroque periods. Stop at room D23 to see Titian's Venus of Urbino. It's a reclining nude painted as a marriage gift with a lapdog symbolizing fidelity. Scandalous in its day, it later inspired Manet's Olympia and countless others.
Then walk around the corner to the eastern corridor and enter room E4 to see Caravaggio's Medusa, painted on a ceremonial shield. Caravaggio used a mirror to paint his own face as the severed head of Medusa. The wild snakes and terrified expression make it one of the most dramatic works in the whole museum.
And while you're here, also see Caravaggio's Sacrifice of Isaac from 1603. Like Caravaggio's other works, it is characterized by intense psychological realism, dramatic chiaroscuro, light and shadow, and compressed action. It focuses on the terror of Isaac, Abraham's conflicted obedience, and the angel's intervention. Nearby is Artemisia Gentileschi's Judith beheading Holofernes. It's shocking, Judith with real determination in her eyes beheading the Assyrian general. Artemisia was one of the very few women to break through in the Baroque era, and she painted this as a statement of power and defiance.
Later rooms also highlight Northern masters like Rembrandt. His self-portraits are powerful because you can literally watch him age over 3 decades, his brushwork becoming looser and more intimate over time.
The Uffizi is also the gateway to the Vasari Corridor, an elevated passage built in 1565 to connect the government offices of the Uffizi with the Medici's palace across the river. It was closed for a few years, but has recently been reopened and can be visited with a special ticket.
Now, it used to be filled with artwork, but unfortunately it's mostly empty now, except for some busts and statues. But you do get a great view of the Arno River as you cross over the top of the Ponte Vecchio.
Start at the top and work your way down. Don't try to see everything. Just pick the highlights, as we've pointed out.
Download the highlights map from the website to guide you. And don't forget to pause at the windows overlooking Florence. You could say they're masterpieces in themselves.
And plan to pair the Uffizi with something nearby, maybe the Boboli Gardens or the Ponte Vecchio, so your whole day isn't spent indoors.
The Uffizi is one of the greatest museums in the world, but it doesn't have to take your whole trip to Florence.
With a little planning, you'll see the works that shaped the Renaissance, but with plenty of time left over for the other attractions that Florence has to offer. A presto!
Ciao for now.